So this is my Bulma board wipe FireBall deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 mind controlling Babidi. 4 Goku Savagery Awakened. 4 Goku off to defeat King Piccolo. 4 SS Vegeta. 4 Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. 4 Trunks Skillless. 4 Videl Miraculous Aid. 4 Heroic Dual Videl. 4 Testing the Opposition. 4 Violent Rays. 3 Shenron Unison Rescue. 3 Lord Slug Giant Force. 3 King Piccolo Giant Force. And 1 SS3 Gohanks Interdimensional Warrior. Alright. So the leader, permanent all your red and yellow Saiyans and Earthling cards in your battle area game blocker. So that's where you get most of your defense from. And then active main, draw a card. Awaken, when you have 4 less life, you may choose to your energy and switch attacking mode. The Awaken side, same permanent, all your red and yellow Saiyan and Earthling cards, game blocker. In the battle area and active main, draw 2 cards. Alright, so the main premise in this deck is a combination of, using board wipe cards to, keep your opponent's board under control. Your opponent tries to go wide, you can just, clear the board. So we have a couple cards for that. Plus these cards are relatively strong. And since they're red Saiyans, they will become blockers, so you'll be able to play them, wipe your opponent's board, and still have defense. So, Babidi, just, obviously it's a really good card because it helps us get multiple bodies on board. So it could definitely get us 2 Savagery Awaken Gokus, for example, and we use the effect to burn our opponent for 1 damage per copy. So we get 2 of these out. We crit 4 of our lives just to deal opponent 2. So if our opponent's at 2 life, we can end the game with that alone. Or because this Goku right here and this Vegeta, they both have the effect that when they're played, they have the auto when they're played, they do their board wipe ability. So they have obviously good synergy with Babidi control, mind controlling Babidi, because when he plays them, since they're 25k or less red battle cards, they will hit the field, they will trigger and do their thing. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku does not do that from Babidi's effect, so it'd be pointless to bring him out through Babidi's effect, because he only does his board wipe ability when you play him from the hand. But which is why we have the Vegeta and the Goku off to defeat King Piccolo, because they do get their effects from being played by Babidi. So that's the thing, right? So we got the basic targets for Babidi. When you play him, if you have, you gotta have 6 red energy in order to trigger this effect. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 red battle cards with 25k power or less, other than Evil Wizard Babidi, and play them. Shuffle your deck afterwards. We have Goku Savagery Awakens, has Deflect, 25k, auto, place 2 cards from your life to the drop area. When this card is played, deal your opponent 1 damage. Goku off to defeat King Piccolo, has Deflect, triple attack, which is nice. Which means we definitely could attack with it twice, and then on the 3rd time, just keep it in active mode so we can block with it, right? Because there will be a blocker because of Bulma. As the permanent, if your leader card is red, your opponent can't activate blocker skills in response to this card's attack, which is nice. It goes along with the, pretty much an unstoppable attacker, right? Because 1 has triple strike, right? First you don't succeed, try again. And, it can't be blocked. So that's 2 things they got going for it. It's going to make negates relatively useless, and blockers relatively useless, which is the UA strategy, right? Unstoppable attacker. It has Deflect, so we don't have to worry about counterplays, but we still have to worry about effects to KO because it doesn't have beggar. But beggars can't be choosers, right? We take what we can get. So it's really nice that it has triple attack. So it's our main attacker right there. And then as the auto, if your leader card is red, when this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards. They get negative 20k power for the duration of the turn. Then choose up to 1 of your red unison cards and add a marker to it, which is nice to have that added ability. to give one of our unisons a marker, especially our main unison for this deck's other strategy, which is the FireBall strategy, is King Piccolo, a Giant Force. So being able to give him a marker comes in handy in case you played him early and he took some damage, so he lost some markers. And since he has no way of giving himself markers, it is nice to have something that can give a marker in case you're in that type of situation. But you shouldn't be in a situation per se where you need to give him markers, but it's nice that it's there just in case. But the main thing is you play him, you can minus 20k to all your opponent's battle cards, which should help you KO a good amount of cards. Especially anything that has indestructible will still go to the drop because of this minus ability. Imagine playing 2 of these. From the effect of Mind Controlling Body, you can do minus 40k to all your opponent's battle cards, which should definitely clear your opponent's board, right? This effect doesn't ignore barrier, but it'd be too powerful if it did, right? We'll take what we can get for now. Same goes for Vegeta, Exploding Weakness. He has counterplay. You play this card. It has the permit that if your leader card is red, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So essentially it's a 3-drop because your leader is red. And auto, when you play this card, choose all of your opponent's battle cards and they get negative 20k power for the duration of the turn. And if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your leader cards and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration turn. So this is obviously a good card for 3 energy to play your opponent's turn, because you get to minus 20k to all his board, so you can board wipe on your opponent's turn, not just your turn, which is awesome, right? Then you get a 19k blocker, and then you get the extra 5k to your leader. So if your leader's awakened, it'll be a 15k, which doesn't sound so great because most leaders are 15k when they're awakened inherently, but with this leader, it's important. That extra 5k can matter. So that's the thing. And of course, if you can manage to get 2 of these out in the same turn, then that's 40k, minus 40k going your opponent's turn, plus 10k to the leader, right, for the duration of turn. So that's a thing. Then we got Kaioken Goku, has Deflect. Auto, when you play this card from your hand, choose all your opponent's battle cards with 20k power or less and KO them. And then we got the active main, pay 2 red. If your leader card is red and you place this card from your hand to the drop area, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, which is important, right? And minus 25k from that battle card for the duration of the turn. So this is our barrier hate card right there, plus a low cost board wipe. And it's a 3 cost, which is inherently it's a 3 cost, which is nice because it has synergy with Videl, of course. Then we got Trunks 20k Skillless. This is for a reusable blocker engine, because we're gonna keep bringing Trunks back from the drop with Shenron's Unison of Rescue's ability. It's plus 0 ability. If you have no Skillless battle card in play, play 1 Skillless battle card with energy cost 2 or less from your drop area. So this is a way we can bring Trunks back and forth, so we can keep using it to block. Of course, turn 1 and stuff like that, you'll want to go aggro first. You want to start cutting your opponent's life down. The goal is always to get them down to 2, right? So typically what I do is I swing with the leader, combo Trunks to get the leader up to 10k to hopefully hit my opponent for 1 damage. Then he'll be in the drop. Play this for 1 energy, use its plus 0 ability, bring the Trunks back, and then swing with the Trunks because it is 20k. So there's a high chance that attack will go through. So my opponent would take 2 damage on turn 1, and that's good. That means we got 6 more damage to go after that, right? So every turn you're going to try to go for as much damage as you can. 2 damage per turn is always good. That way, by turn 4, your opponent should be at 2 life, and you should be trying to go for game. And if you don't go for game, like you don't succeed in beating your opponent on turn 4, that's alright. You have turn 5, turn 6 to go try to beat your opponent. And with the FireBall strategy in this deck, you definitely should be able to take your opponent down by turn 6 at the earliest with the FireBall strategy. So, like I said, we reuse Trunks as a 20k blocker. Then we have Videl, Miraculous Aid. Her permanent, she counts as a Sane in all areas, which is helpful. So she's red Sane / Earthling, so she will be a blocker when she's in play, as well as all the other red battle cards will be blockers except for Bobbity. But everything else will be a blocker. Auto, if your leader card is red Bulma card, which it is, and you choose one red or yellow Sane or Earthling card in your drop area and place it at the bottom of your deck. When you play this card, choose up to one red or yellow Sane card with an energy cost 3 or less in your drop area and add it to your hand. So you can play a copy of her to get another copy from your drop to your hand by putting another Earthling or Sane from your drop to the bottom of your deck, and then play the second copy and then use that to do the effect again, but to grab something else. Like a good target would be Kaioken Goku, because he, when you're playing from the hand, you go board wipe. Another thing is that he has the active main ability in his hand. So let's say you pay 2 to play him from your hand to minus 25k, ignoring barrier, a battle card. Then, for 1 energy, play her, use her effect to take a Sane in your drop area, put it at the bottom of your deck, and then add him back to your hand. Then pay 2 more reds and pitch him, because his active main is not once per turn, so you can play him again as long as you can afford it. So that's a way you can use him more than once in a single turn and be able to get rid of battle cards that have barrier. So there's a little barrier engine right there. Obviously, the next step will be to have something that lets us recycle her, right? Because if you can use her, recycle her over and over again, use her to block, because she will be a blocker, and then bring her back from the drop, use her effect again, get back to Goku, use the Goku from the hand, barrier, and just keep that engine going back and forth, right? But I would like the engine to be something low cost. The closest we got is Shenron, Figure of Majesty, because he has the ability Sparking 5. If you can bring back a battle card with energy cost of 2 or less. So he's like, the closest, but he's a 4-drop, which means you won't be able to start that strategy off until turn 4. But hey, it's something, just something to keep in mind. But I would like something like a 1-drop or something, or a 2-drop that can let me do this little engine over and over again. But for now, just being able just to play her for 1 to recycle stuff is always good, especially if we want to recycle our Videls, which of course counterattack, negate an attack, play her. Since she's a Earthling, red Earthling, she will become a blocker, so you could potentially stop 2 attacks for 1 energy. And of course, you can try to recycle her through Videl's effect. So there's synergy there. And then we got testing the opposition. Counterattack if your leader card is mono red, which it is. Negate the attack and then play a Cyberman token with 5k power, 0 cost, 5k combo power, and blocker for that turn. Permanent, if you have 5 or less life, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding 1 card from your life to your hand and play this card for free. This comes in handy late game when you're tapped out and you might have ran out of blockers and negates and stuff like that. And well, not negates per se, right? Because you have this. But if you run out of, your blockers and anything else, you're already tapped out, then being able to play this for free, you have 5 or less life is really nice. Especially if you have 2 life and somebody's trying to go for game, you can be like, all right, take a life, play this for free, negate that attack, make a blocker, so that way you can't try to do a secondary attack and try to go for game, right? So that's extra nice. Really good cards, and I already bought my play sets of all of them, so I'll definitely be using them. Then we got Violent Rays. Counterattack if your leader card is red, which is negate the attack. Then you may choose 1 card from your hand, discard it, and then choose one of these abilities. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 20k power or more, or your opponent can't attack with unisons with 20k power or more. Typically, we choose the battle card part of the effect. Shenron units of rescue permanent. This card can't attack. If it would lose a marker from an attack, you may choose one card from your drop area. Choose one card from your life and send it to the drop area. We are only really using this for its plus 0 ability. We could potentially do its +7, but we're really only using it for its +0 ability, which is if we have no skillless battle card in play, we could play a skillless battle card from our drop area, which is our trunks. For that reusable engine, blocker engine. Then we have Lord Slug, Giant Force. 15k with crit, +1 ability. You may choose one card in your hand, discard it. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and bear it, and it gets a -10k power for the turn. So you could obviously combine this effect with Kaioken Goku and be able to minus 35k from a battle card. So that can come in handy with taking down anything relatively strong that has barrier. So if there's a 35k battle card with barrier, then you might want to combine these two cards to get rid of that problem card, right? So that's a thing. But this is decent, decent effect to have, to get rid of any low-powered battle cards with barrier. So it's just good to get rid of, little floodgates here and there. And then it's, added ability. It's auto, -4 if your leader card is red, which it is. When your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. So if your opponent plays a, counter attack, like Violent Raise or Testing Opposition, for example, you can deal 1 damage by removing 4 markers from this card. So of course, the more markers you can get on this, the better, because then that means you can put your opponent in a situation where every turn, if they play a counter, you'll burn them for 4. So definitely want to get this to 8 markers plus, right? But that's the thing. But here's the main unison that we're going to do the most damage with, which should be our, ultimate win con. Critical dual attack 19k, which already is good just by itself. Having something that can attack more than once helps us bypass, negates. It being a unison makes it immune to a lot of, definitely makes it immune to counter plays, makes it immune to, active battle effects that KO battle cards because it's not a battle card, obviously. And so it's immune to a lot of things. It can attack twice. Once it hits the field, stick to the field for a while. And then it has its -2 ability, which lets you choose up to 1 red leader card, and it gets +5k power for the duration of the turn. So it has a built-in Senzu Bean-like ability. So this combined with the Exploiting Weakness Vegeta could turn your leader to a 20k leader on your opponent's turn. So that's nice little synergy there. And then it has the -4 ability, which is the main ability we want to take advantage of. Our ultimate win con, because it's hard to interact with this, which is why we love it. Which is -4 markers, pay 4 red, 2 of any X number of energy. If your leader card is red, which it is, deal X damage to your opponent. So the goal here would be to Alright, so to do this on 1 turn, you're going to need, with this leader, you'll need a minimum of 8. Because the leader's ability to untap 2 energy is going to awaken, so you'll need to be at 4 life, obviously, and 8 energy. And you can do 2 damage with this 1 card. So the way you do it is you'll use 4 energy to play this card, so it has 4 markers. Unless you have a second copy, then you pay 3 instead. Let's go with that one. Let's make it a little stronger. Let's go with you have 2 copies of this, right? So you pay 3 to play one. Attach the second copy to it, so it gives the markers has 4 markers. That means you have 5 energy right now, right? Then you awaken the leader, untap 2 energy, so now you're at 7 energy. And then you pay 4 red, and then the remaining energy, which will be 3, for the damage. And you could do 3 damage. So with 2 copies of this card, 8 energy and the ability to awaken your leader, you could do 3 damage, which is better than just doing 2, right? But I'm just assuming, but on average, if you only have 1 copy, then you only do 2 damage with 8 energy and the leader's awakening ability. But if you have, you know, a second copy, then you can do 3 damage, which is nice, right? At least it's nice to have the option. To do 2 damage in 1 turn. Wait, I already said that. Well, you can do 2 damage with 8, so because of the leader, if you can awaken. But let's say you can't awaken. Let's say you still have 8 life for some reason, right? Well, it's not hard to do that. But let's say you have 8 life, so you can't use the leader's awaken ability. Then you need a total of 10. 4 to play this card, so it has 4 markers. 4 for its red energy, part of his effect, and then the 2 extra energy for the burn. So that'd be a total of 10. So you need 10 energy in total to burn your opponent for 2 energy. So that's the thing. Another way you could play this card is play this card on turn 5 for 4 energy, right? Because you want to keep 1 energy up. You're mainly going to use that for like Flying Nimbus, for example. I mean, not Flying Nimbus, Violent Rays, for example. So you want to keep 1 energy up for that, or at least 1 energy up for like a Heroic Videl play, right? So you play this for 4, and this is on turn 5, right? So then you're able to get an extra turn. You're able to get to turn 6, play your 6 energy. So you have 6 energy, right? So now you have 6 energy. You can, he has 4 markers. Then you can minus 4 markers from him, pay the 4 red plus the 2x, and deal your opponent 2 damage on turn 6. So as soon as turn 6, with just this 1 card and let's just say Violent Rays or Heroic Videl, you can get to your turn 6 and be able to do 2 damage. And that's if your opponent's obviously at 2 life. You can finish them off on turn 6. But if they have more, let's say they have 4 life, then you want to, let me see, to do 2, that's on 6. Turn 7 would be 3. Then turn 8. Turn 8. 9. Right? Should be, yeah, turn 8. Because it's 4, yeah, turn 8. So on turn 8, if you already have, if you play this on turn 7 before energy, that way on turn 8 it'll still be on the field with 4 markers. You can remove the 4 markers, pay 4 red, and then still have the 4 red left over, or 4 energy left over, which will be red obviously, and use it to deal your opponent 4 damage. So if you can stall all the way up to turn 8, and then on turn 7 is when you drop the King Piccolo, because you want to make sure it's on there 1 turn prior, because you're trying to get the 4 energy you used to play him. You want to get those 4 energy back for the 4 red for this card's effect, and then the extra energy you have will be for the X damage. Hopefully that explains everything you need to know about this card. It's a good card, especially in this deck. It works really, really well in this deck. So I've been a fan of that for years. I mean, for a long while. So hopefully that's everything you need to know about the card. Then we got SS3 Gohanks, Interdimensional Warrior, Ultimate Dual Attack Blocker. So there's some good stuff. Auto, when this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, which is nice, and they get minus 25k power for the duration of turn. So this is, the only main board wipe that does ignore barrier. So this is obviously powerful. Remember we said if all the other ones had ignoring barrier, they'd be busted. Well, this is proof of that. They made an ultimate that has the ignoring barrier and minus 25k for anything, and it does 5k more than the other cards, so that's extra nice, right? And it has dual attack, and it's 25k, which is nice. And it's a blocker, so it already goes with theme, right? Or wipe and put up a blocker, right? Just like all the other cards. Or wipe, put up a blocker. It has a +1 ability. When your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may choose it, and it gets negative 25k power for the turn. Doesn't ignore barrier. If it did, it definitely be busted. So this is a nice auto to have. So it's defensive. So just this auto alone is going to get rid of, deal with one attack. Then the fact that it's blocked is going to deal with another attack. So it can literally stop 2 attacks a turn by itself, you know. And then what makes it extra crazy, right, is that that's a +1 ability, right? So he'll get a marker, and when you use him to block, if he loses a marker, well, it doesn't matter because you got a marker for free, right? So he's going to stick on the field for a long while, and that's, you know, awesome, right? Then he has the -4 ability, active main. This card gets 15k power and triple strike for the duration of the turn, and at the end of the turn, switch this card to activable, which is nice because it is a dual attacker. So you'll trigger this effect to make it a 40k triple strike. They can attack twice because it does have dual attack. So you have 2 chances to do 3 damage to your opponent. So it's potential 6 damage all by itself. And with this deck's ability to draw and stall, it won't be that hard to, you know, draw into this and then eventually play it. And it only will cost you 5 energy to play this, you know, so you can -4 and be able to attack with it twice in the same turn, instead of, you know, waiting a turn or so to try to use them. You can just drop them for 5 and go off. So he's your Cell Zeno, as it were, for the deck. Again, being a unison, it's immune to a lot of cards. It has the built-in board wipe, so it's going to get rid of blockers. You know, it ignores barrier, which is great. So it's already going to deal with blockers. It's already immune to you know, counterplays and, you know, KO effects. And then, you know, it has dual attack, so it can bypass a single negate. So it already, you know, covers 4 of the things you got to deal with, right? Well, the 4th thing would be combo, right? The fact that it becomes 40k, it makes, you know, comboing easy, right? Because it's going to be 40k base on, you know, on each attack, and you can just combo a couple cards from your hands, and your hand should be pretty thick with this leader by the time you use this. So it wouldn't be that hard to get this thing out there, you know, out comboing. So it's another UA, you know, card right there. So it's definitely awesome. And I've always been a fan of the SS3 form. So seeing Gohan and Trunks fuse together to make this bad boy, and it's Super Saiyan 3, it's badass. So love that. And that's the end of this awesome video.